Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Saiyan, 10th Man, Righteous Force, did I miss anybody in G+?
Good morning. Good morning.
I think I got
Flat
you.
morning, you missed Flatsoid.
Sorry, Flatsoid, I knew I'd missed somebody. And we're also joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord. So hello to everyone in Discord.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, from Discord.
Black Swan.
Any evidence of a physical Earth curve edge capable of geometric measurement?
Should be the horizon.
Funny.
In a psychic.
Go on, Chocolate.
It's funny though. I heard
In the mind.
a re-listen of a certain toe tag by somebody who has science in their name, but it's technically fallacy. Mr. Bob, the fallacy guy, and he declared that the horizon is the edge of the sphere. It's a little weird because now they declare that it's not. So I don't know what happened there. Something happened. Does anybody know?
I don't know, are you sure about that? Because Bob was in my chat yesterday and he specifically said that he doesn't come on the show because he doesn't want to give me views. So are you saying he has been on the show, contrary to what he's lying about in my chat to various chat participants? Wow.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I was on the show. I distinctly remember him being on the show. So that would be a lie, yeah.
Oh, so yeah, he's just another liar like Rumpus and Brenda, who overtly lie because they're currently in a bit of a bind with the Black Swan, so they just have to obfuscate and lie through their back teeth about various nonsense, rather than discuss the actual subject that we're debating about, the lack of geometry and physicality to their sphere. And lo and behold, not only does he come on the show, he gives us very damning affirmation that they do, or did, claim that we're living on a sphere with physical geometry. Strange that. It's the premise of their religion that they're currently all denying in the trenches.
It's funny, right? Because as I'm listening to it, I'm waiting to hear how we have three horizons and how we never see the geometric horizon. And apparently, I didn't hear any of that. I mean, I don't know. Am I confused or something? Or has the argument slightly changed? Because he only spoke about one horizon.
Yeah, just a
So-
double-speaking liar like all of them.
Model.
Sorry, go on, Travis.
Oh, I said it only exists in the globe reification model.
Yeah, that's correct.
It has to be there on the model.
Yeah, the model has a geometric horizon, we just don't have one in reality. The fact that they continually reified their model into existence by asserting that boats go over a physical geometric horizon that is the edge of their sphere world, they had to relinquish that and lie about it through their back teeth constantly. Now, that's just going to undo their argument more and more the more they do it. It's been necessitated by the fact that we have this argument, the Black Swan, which no one can get around. The only way you can justify it is by relinquishing the physicality of their sphere edge they used to argue for boats going over. And then they, like I say, lie and say they never used to say that. Well, yeah, you did, and now you can't. because the Earth's not a sphere. Hey, Arwin.
Hello.
Any evidence
You know
at
how
all
they
of-
used to say there's always Paris?
Go on, Arwin.
You know how they always used to say there will always be Paris, right? When a good period ends or whatever. Well, there will always be 1984 for them.
Yeah, way back in the day when they used to argue that the horizon was a physical place.
That, yes, and of course also the book reference at the same time. They will always have their double speak to fall back onto.
Yeah, they might have forgotten too that we all these things are recorded, so we could very easily go back and just listen to you guys argue that the edge of your sphere is geometrical. Yeah, we're not gonna forget that. But we're gonna make audio clips of it, just so that you guys don't forget either.
No, we
Any-
just didn't understand chocolate.
Any evidence of any Earth curvature?
Not from Yuba City.
No. Curvature.
Only in the
Nah, I
globe
think
reification
that
model.
one's out the door.
I get
They
Discord. a bit
never
more-
claimed Earth curvature.
Yeah, they did. That's how it's so fortunate that we have over 1,000 records of what they have previously argued. Very handy, having a record of how this argument has progressed and what they've claimed to date. So I can just go back and, upon request, I'll give you. Rumpus demands that I go back to any Isle of Man debate and seek out where he's claimed that we have multiple horizons. No, I just found an affirmation of your...
Can we play the audio clip of Rob the Fallacy guy? Because we got it. Wallbusters
I
already.
don't have it.
We gotta be
timed.
careful that we don't turn out into like a radio show disc jockey with all these buttons just constantly playing these ridiculous things
I
that
agree.
the ballers have said.
I completely
No, but on
agree.
the other hand,
These
though,
are-
if
but
we
these are
demonstrate
factoids.
that these guys did make claims that were no longer the current position, then it demonstrates that they're lying again.
Yes, that's correct. Currently, that's what they're having to do right now because their position's untenable. So they have to either lie about their new version of events or claim they never had an older version of events that contradicts their new version. Either way, they're lying, and they're doing it left, right, and centre. Long live the Black Swan.
We
They
do,
said
we
in the
do.
same sentence.
But that's the whole thing, right? Because now they can make their claims, and we could use their previous claims to debunk their current claims. We don't even have to do anything.
Exactly.
That's the
We
best
Exactly.
part.
don't, we don't.
You just have
Exactly.
to say
we
Black
do.
Swan.
I love the clips. I love the clips. The clips are fantastic. They're unique to this show, and they show the historicity of this journey.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I've known all along it's flat. There is no turning back. It's never going to suddenly wrap itself around a sphere. It's not going to do that. The ground we're standing on is flat. So the progression of an argument from a paradigm that 99% of the Western world is under to the reality of our existence is fascinating. And the only people that are going to have any detrimental effect to that are the ones that fight tooth and nail. The abusive bastards that come here. The ones that in the start of the argument were coming onto the show and joining just to mute me or mute the guests or play porn. Well, those are the ones that were relinquishing their model they already knew it was over. That's why they had to fight tooth and nail. Well, the ones who are still in denial and fight tooth and nail, they've got an untenable position to fight for now. So when you're fighting for your geometry and your physical Earth sphere, remember that you've got to come here and tell us how it's not physical. It's apparent. Maybe we'll have the little argument about why we don't have apparent sizes in your geometric maths. Well, we'll get to that, won't we? Oh, no, we won't, because you won't be able to. We won't have that argument anymore. You'll just realise that it's totally untenable as you come to utilise some of the geometry that you're now having to abandon when you claim the horizon's non-physical. It must be physical if you're claiming a physical sphere that you think you live on, you morons. But no, they won't get it. It'll take them a while, and I'm more than happy to let them lie, because they're the only ones that will be left in the position where everyone's just looking at them with disgust, disdain, and distrust. Because that's what they've got left. That's all they can do from here on in is lie. And that's what they're doing. Left, right and centre. And fight. They'll fight amongst themselves. Because what we can do, we can just be laughing at them from now on while we watch them on our shows talk themselves around in circles. Hysterical. So they'll fight amongst themselves about the bullshit ad hoc explanations that they come up with to try and justify a non-physical physical horizon that's based on a physical geometric horizon that's represented by a non-physical position. It all makes no sense anymore. Who's
We've
got?
all fallen out with the Rumpus as well, apparently, for when he chucked them under the bus on Ranty's show.
Arwin, do you want to go?
course.
Hold on a second, Sleeping Warrior. So for a while, Arwin's been trying to stress the historicity of the actual analogy of the black swan in terms of how I used it in example earlier before Arwin got over with village idiots offering me a white swan because the dude with the cage with the black swan in it is gone from the village. You know, but Arwin, I've got you on screen. Did you want to go through what you wanted to go through? You're on mute, Arwin. I don't know if you realise.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, sorry about that. So I had a question in my mind, and I thought, how long do swans actually live? So I googled it and thought, okay, yeah, a swan lives 30 years. Then I thought, okay, well, how about a black swan? It's probably the same, right? Well, guess what? Black swans live up to 40 years. So guess what? This swan's not gonna go away so fast. It's a distinct difference. Really odd.
That's
So
weird.
black
Yeah,
swans
you
apparently
wouldn't have
live
thought
40
it.
years, and white swans up to 33 years in captivity is probably the highest.
The only thing I can
Can
think
I
of.
say?
Go on.
Sorry, Nathan.
Go on, Chocolate.
No, I just Riley, are you here? Because I just heard I listened to your debate with Dawn the other day, and he says that it's not a black swan, it's just one of the many white swans, but it's got a little black dust on it, one of its feathers. Bro, I was dying. Like
Which-
what?
Which Johnny on about?
Dawn Treader.
Yeah, Dawn's a really good example of a really poor debater. He doesn't accept anything, no matter what evidence is presented, he'll just deny it. He doesn't understand that the horizon has to be physical on his model, and even if he doesn't understand that if it's not physical on his model and it flattens it out because of whatever, then it means that boats can't go over it because they've been flattened out, but they still claim boats go over it. Well, you can't have both. Either boats go over the horizon, and what's his name was right, Galileo was right, or boats aren't going over the horizon because you flattened it out to make it look flat. But then boats can't go over it, can they? And Dawn just ignores it. Moron.
Couple of quick shout outs. So FE News, where is Wiggles with this geometry now? Question mark. Thank you very much for the super chat, FE News, really appreciate it. And Colin Turner says, buy Swan, get Swans for I'll try that again. Buy Swan, get Swan free. Love it.
Good one.
Bloody Wiggles.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Yeah, are we not done yet? I thought we would have been done by now.
No, we've only got 2 questions in. We've got physicality to the sphere edge, and we've had Earth curve in general. That's it.
Well,
Any-
if you got no radius, you got no axial rotation.
Got no
I don't know
axis.
if there's any kind of motion that would have physical consequences, and it doesn't. There's no. Everything is stationary.
So shout out to My Perspective, Rory Cooper, who released a video this morning, and he basically just lays out the airplane conclusion that we make when we're comparing and contrasting the claim used by pendulums and gyros. So the Earth is turning underneath the fixed frame of a swinging pendulum. Pendulum goes back and forth, but appears to deviate off its straight path, left to right or front to back, swinging, because the Earth's rotating underneath. Or a gyroscope deviates by 15 degrees an hour because the Earth rotates underneath the fixed frame of the spinning gyro. So, if the Earth rotates underneath, then we have a Coriolis deviation as claimed by those 2 devices. And planes would have the Earth turn underneath, reducing flight times when travelling west. Now, Rory Cooper's just released a video that just shows this with a depiction, a visual depiction. Excellent, he's really good at that. So check it out, Rory Cooper, My Perspective.
Can you provide a link in chat?
I'll do my best once housekeeping's over. Or I'll just ask the next question. Yeah, hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Right, any scientific evidence of gravity?
First need science to be scientific.
According to Zanuck, Nathan, gravity, they don't know what causes it, but they know what it does. So I tried to get him to. He was having a back and forth with Arwin yesterday, and as Arwin left and shut the door behind him, I joined. So I don't even know what they were arguing about. But Zanuck was criticising Arwin for ignoring definitions and denying evidence. So I attacked Zanuck for doing the exact same thing, and I used gravity as the example. And he claims that gravity, they don't know its cause, but they know what it does. And I'm like, yeah, they do know its cause. It's defined. And I read him back the definition from Einstein that gravity is caused by the uneven distribution of mass. And he wouldn't even read it or acknowledge it, and he just denied it. And I tried to correct him when he stated that they don't know what causes gravity by saying, you now know what's causing gravity on your model. It's defined. So please, in future, don't tell people that you don't know what causes gravity, because you do. It's in the definition. So can't remember what point I was making.
For the audience's benefit, as we're asking for any evidence of axial rotation, I'm going to just leave my perspectives video playing out. So while it's doing so, a heavily undersubscribed channel, My Perspective. Check him out. Go and subscribe. I'm putting the link in the chat now. Go and check him out.
Yeah, he's one of the first wave.
Yeah, he's been around longer than all of
forever.
us. Definitely, he's very much an OG flat earther. He's been around longer than everybody on this panel.
And he's had like the most characteristic, good quality graphics, like from the start. Like that's really his thing. He has his own style and is very concise, all very clear, very concise. I really like his channel. I learned a lot from him about perspective and visuals. He's probably the one that kind of set me out on trying to figure out the optical slant and everything. Like he inspired me to do that.
Only in a globe reification model.
Right, we'll do some more housekeeping questions while this is playing out for the audience. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No, it's all
You're still waiting for that
pre-fabrication.
10th? I think 10th is still waiting for that from that woman he emailed.
Pardon?
I think 10th man is still waiting for his Bible.
Yeah, Dr. Becky.
There we go.
So Jose JG Flip Flop says, refer to my boat video. There's curvature. Boom. No, Jose.
That just shows Jose doesn't understand it.
Yeah, I tried to address him. I asked him, given the Black Swan argument currently on the table, if he understands that the horizon is physical? Question mark, Jose. I don't think that he understands the argument either. I'm not 100% certain on that yet, but given some of his questions, I'm pretty sure Jose doesn't understand the argument.
So let me explain it for Jose. If boats go over the horizon, Jose, it needs to be geometric, right, for it to go over. But if you guys are arguing that refraction flattens it out, then that boat that was going over the horizon now isn't going over the horizon anymore because you flattened it out. So which is it? Is it boats go over the horizon and the horizon doesn't loom up? Or does the horizon loom up, meaning boats don't go over the horizon? You can't have it both ways, Jose.
Right. It's more like boats go into the horizon.
Which would be consistent with living on a plane, because that's what they say. If we lived on a plane, then things would just go murky towards the horizon, which is exactly what we see.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Again, what is the sun?
Light.
What's light?
Can you prove
Something you
this, Owen?
see.
Can you prove this, Owen?
The globe reification model assumes the distance of the sun.
No, they need R for that. We've taken that away from them with the Black Swan, though. They no longer have a physical geometric edge like they claim in their physical geometric model, an assertion that we have boats going over the physical edge of a sphere. They don't have a physical horizon anymore, though, so that's a big problem if you're going to utilise an R value that assumes Earth has a spherical geometry. So that's no longer a tenable argument either. The distance to the sun
But that's
not
not
only
entirely
assumes R has itself been debunked. So that's completely untenable now.
I have a technical
That's
think
not
I
question.
entirely true, though, because hold on a second, Arwen. Because just because you've shown what reality is and how reality disproves the model, doesn't mean the model itself is destroyed. It still does exist, even though it's incorrect.
Yeah, it's just untenable.
They can still refer to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what untenable means.
no longer valid.
You can no longer reify that model into existence based on a trust in this R value. If you relinquish the physicality of the sphere edge, i.e. the outside edge you're getting from R, if you relinquish that and say, well, no, it's non-physical, the horizon's not the leading edge of a sphere, it's an apparent, incorrect use of the word apparent, by the way, position, well, then it's not physical. They need and require a physical edge. That's what their model's asserting that the Earth is. So, game over.
Yes,
No longer a tenable model. Can't reify that into existence even though you trust in R. They can't trust in R anymore. It's completely untenable.
Can I
Yeah,
get
yet
back
these
to the
nincompoops
question?
still hold up their empty pinata as proof. They'll still do it. They're that stupid. They cannot acquiesce.
That's not my problem, though. I just laugh at those people.
Sorry, Arwen.
Go on, Owen.
Right, I was actually onto the housekeeping question, distance of the sun. Right, so I've kind of a question for everyone. What is the farthest registered, recorded visual of actually man-made light in some way that would have been put up at a giant tower somewhere or a plane that shines extremely bright? So what is the farthest distance that light has that has been physically confirmed and made by man, of course? Confirmed visual distance possible to even
Before we all
see
speculate,
light.
we heard the
Because
question.
can I
Alvin, we
finish?
heard the question. We don't need it 5 times. But before everyone speculates, do you know the answer to this question already, Alwyn, or not?
No, that's why it was kind of an open question.
Okay, that's what I suspected.
Because there may be potential limit to simply even how far you can see light. There's a limit to how far you can see regular things in the day because of refraction blurring it up into a gray soup at the backdrop. So does light overcome that eventually?
Look
Can't
at
overcome
Dirt's
a resolution
videos
limit.
of
No.
the sun dissipating.
Hold on, let me just answer him directly. No. You're describing the diffraction limit at the horizon. No, you can't overcome a diffraction limit. In terms of the light, at a certain distance, if it's beyond the resolution capabilities of whatever hole you're looking through, your eye, a camera, whatever, telescope, well, the aperture's going to dictate the point that you get a diffraction limit, either based on your limited angle if you're looking over something like the deck, the horizon, or based on its physical size, i.e. once its angular resolution limit is breached, you won't see it either. So you could argue the intensity being bigger, i.e. giving you a bigger thing to look at because you've got a brighter light, but this has got so many parameters in it to answer that you'd have to come up with a question that's formulated with certain parameters so that people know what you're actually asking, because it's been defined in terms of how many lumens you have. So if you look into what a lumen is, you might get a vague idea of where to structure the question to get a decent answer.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Okay, so I guess I know how to then rephrase it. Is like there will be a certain angular size that will be required in order for you to be able to register, to have it within resolution capacity, as it were. So
No.
if you then constantly scale up the size of the light,
No,
the light source
that's
and the
wrong.
intensity, and then increase the distance linearly, will it eventually, despite it being in a linear size relation, and will it just no longer be visible? Or
Well, no, because your premise is wrong to start with, because you're saying based on its angular size. Well, no, you're not going to base it on its angular size, which is going to be fixed depending on its distance, and you're going to base it on the Rayleigh criterion based on the aperture and what the angular resolution limit is. Well, that's dependent on the equipment you're using, so you've immediately got a premise that hasn't been factored into your starting premise.
well, yeah, I started with the end, but it's going to be based on a specific camera or whatever that is suited for such a experiment, dare I say. But yeah, it's just a general question. Is there like a limit to how far light can technically be possibly seen, even if you overcome the other variables that are inherent to sight?
Can't you just calculate it with the inverse square law? Can't you just calculate it with the inverse square law?
Probably.
Anyway, shout out to Mason Beat, who says, shout out QE for toe tagging Bob, shout out 10th and Choco. That was actually an old toe tag, just so people who don't realise. That was just part of QE's upload schedule. It just happened to come out now. So he said, he gave us a heads up yesterday. He was like, on my upload schedule is just an old Bob toe tag, just in case there's any backlash. Now I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh, great. That's not really what I want but right now, but there we go. That's just, like I say, he's got a whole bunch of material that he's releasing on a certain schedule, and so that just is by coincidence an old video. So
damn it, I just dug up my hatchet. Just kidding.
Dug up your hatchet.
I hear Joe wasn't very happy about it.
I don't know the reaction. Do we have to, I mean, if it's organically come up now, I'd be objecting to it if I said no. Right, feel free, have at it. Talk about Bob and QE.
Nah.
Can I answer the light question? I've been
Yes,
waiting
please,
patiently.
God, yes, definitely.
Housekeeping?
Yes,
I
please.
also wanted to say something.
So there's a guy that made some Pontchartrain bridge videos a few years back. He's not really on the scene that much anymore, but he provided good information whilst he was here, and we had a good giggle at him. But anyway, he claims that you can see a candle flame from 30 miles. Now, 30 miles is the distance that I can just about make out Blackpool Tower from Hoylake. And I know for a fact that you can't see a candle flame from that distance. The guy's an utter moron. But the answer to your question, if you ask a baller, is out 30 miles candle flame. If you do it real world, it's probably about 1.6 miles. That's about it. There's your answer for a candle flame.
0.6 miles.
Yeah. I read an article somewhere that it was claiming to debunk the myth that a candle could be seen from 30 miles. And they worked it out based on its luminosity and its size and its distance that you could calculate for its the variety of factors. They said it was 1.6 miles. They tested it to see whether you could, and you couldn't even see it from that far.
Cool. Thanks.
At what
I can
observer
actually
height?
Yeah, and the bendy light and refraction and all that could have refracted your head.
Hold on, you had a question. Go ahead, whoever asked. Feel free to repeat your question.
Oh, sorry. I said at what observer height?
Yeah, it could be anything. Who knows? Rumpus had just had. Oh, by the way, Rumpus has got me blocked for some reason. I don't know why you got me blocked, Rumpus. I'm asking legitimate questions about your religion, and you don't like it.
There's more to it. Why would the observer height be important?
Black Swan.
Who are you asking, Nathan?
The guy who asked. He asked why.
Because if it was too low, it would. Sorry, go ahead.
No, feel free. Carry on. Why were you asking?
It appears if it was within 5 feet or even higher, you wouldn't see it. It'd be on the other side of the horizon.
On the other side of the physical horizon.
Oh yeah, you don't.
the other side of the how?
There's a crucial detail I want. I've lingered on this for a point. Everyone trying to interrupt me. Right. So the geometric physical horizon. Close your mics, whoever's making that noise in G+. The physical geometric horizon is apparent based on your observer height. Hence, we spent 25 to 50 shows arguing about Antony's observer height relative to the tangent line they'll be drawing in their geometric model. And what are they drawing a tangent line to? Anybody? Anybody at all?
They're drawing a tangent line to the point where the sky appears to meet the sea on the horizon.
And in their model, marked with an X, labelled horizon, what is that point exactly?
It's marked as an X and labelled as the word horizon.
But in relation to their model, what is it? It's the outside edge of the sphere.
Oh no, Dawn doesn't agree with that definition. He thinks it's a partial edge of a sphere.
It doesn't matter how the village idiots define geometry, it's geometry.
Apparently that's too nuanced for Don, because he's the only guy that debates using the word nuanced every 2 words. It's ridiculous.
I think you learned it last week.
What?
Have we finished housekeeping?
I just wanted to make that point clear, that while they're using the word apparent as a comparison to their physical geometric horizon, the geometric physical horizon is also apparent. All horizons are apparent. the geometric physical sphere edge horizon they've been arguing that boats go over for the last 5 years is apparent based on your height. So when they argue between geometric and apparent, it's completely and utterly redundant. All horizons are apparent by definition. However, their horizon is physical. And they're arguing that it's loomed, i.e. not physical, in a different position that it actually is, appearing somewhere else, that it isn't physically loomed, refracted, whatever word they like. So it's immediately non-physical by their own argument, ergo non-geometric, like their religion. So, as I say, this is checkmate. I'm going to keep reiterating why it's checkmate from all the different angles it's checkmate from. Should we move on with housekeeping, or is there any more to add to this apparent position that is redundant when you're talking about a horizon, by definition apparent? Any more?
No.
I don't know. I really, really want to hear Bob say it.
Yeah, I think, Nathan, what's going to happen is they're going to get such a beating as they currently are that they're going to have to get one of the higher ups, so to speak, who isn't willing to come on a debate show or do what they do in the trenches. And that there's going to be a big slip up there. And we'll see which higher up makes the first one.
They can't make any points. I've said this as well. Sorry, 10th man, you're going to get it now. This isn't an invitation for a rebuttal. When I say the horizon is not physical, that is a statement of fact admitted on both sides now. Well, their model requires a geometric physical horizon. That is game over, and not an invitation to offer a response or an explanation. Now, the fact that they do offer, or attempt to offer, an explanation ultimately results in them relinquishing the physicality of their own model. So, in essence, conceding. So, there is no response invited, and there is no response to receive. This is undebunkable. But I know there's people out there, Anthony's already got this, but a few days gone by, he was like, well, what are they going to respond to us with? And it's like, there is no response. So, inviting one is pointless. It's almost mean, because when you invite them for a response, all their response can be is, yeah, that horizon's not a physical edge of a sphere. You know, it doesn't matter how they word it. That's essentially what they've got to say. It's a fact. So, what? Well, you've lost, mate. Don't you realise that? By saying that, that's the complete antithesis of what you're arguing when you argue for the physicality of a sphere. No, they don't realise that yet. They're dumb. But by inviting them to give a rebuttal to something that is checkmate, undebunkable, there is no other conclusion than the one they give when they say the horizon's not physical. Well, the horizon's not physical then. It's not going to suddenly be physical tomorrow because it happens to coincide with your reification fallacy. It's just not physical. That's the end of the argument now, because the whole argument necessitated it being physical. So, you know, end of the road.
Yes,
Well,
but you
Then what are we going to do with these ballers that are in here?
Hang on. I'm still talking with Nathan. Thank you. Misunderstood the context in which I asked that question. It is undebunkable. They have lost. They can never come back and say anything else. However, Andrew Thomas Young has already told them not to use the word looming. That was the first slip up that I was making a reference to without saying his name. There'll be more to come, which will get them to backtrack on everything they've ever said about it. So it's a trap for the higher ups, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, as they try and defend it, the concessions will become worse and worse and worse. That's what I mean when I say the model and its assertions and its praises, the people defending it, whatever way around you like, are going to start to fall apart at the seams, collapse in on themselves, whatever analogy you like, because in an attempt to defend it, they're just making the position even worse. Good for me. Great for everyone on this panel who's a flat earther.
Their problem started when they started making claims.
Can I say something real quick?
What do you want to do?
Yeah, go on, Paul.
There was a Glober on Discord yesterday that was actually attacking the Modus tollen and how QE formulated it, because basically he was saying that, you know, the physical geometry is different than the apparent horizon, and that's how he attacked it. But I kept telling him, I was like both, whether it's a geometric or so-called looming, it's still both an apparent position. So it's still it falls apart right there even on that. But he kept arguing that the modus tollens is wrong because he basically false equivalent or equivocating two different things that aren't the same.
Yeah, he's got to argue. Well, the modus tollens, which is based in the parameters and viewpoints of a sphere-Earth outlook, and correct within those parameters. If you assert that the logic's incorrect, i.e. the assertion that we have a physical sphere geometry based on this R value is wrong because we're not actually seeing the physicality of a sphere. Well, that's his viewpoint. Well, yeah, that's our argument, sunshine. Yeah, we're not actually seeing geometry of a sphere. What you claim is physical and sphere-shaped is just apparent. The other angle to attack him on is, oh right, apparent, like they're all using incorrectly at the moment. Apparent, you say. Show me a single apparent size in this geometric physical mathematical equation you claim when you say Earth's spherical. What's that you say? They're all actual sizes. It's all physical geometry. Oh right, so there's no actual about it. It's all physical. None of it's apparent. None of it's an angular size, for example. Your 200-foot lighthouse that you draw on this model is always 200 foot. Well, that's an apparent size that you're ignoring, while you simultaneously tell us that this physical, geometric, mathematical model needs to have something apparent inserted into it. Well, it isn't apparent, it's geometric and physical. That's the whole basis of your claim. So saying that the logic's wrong is to say that the assertion we have a physical sphere beneath our feet is wrong. Kudos, you lose. That's another checkmate. Hey, QE.
I'm gonna be a pain in the ass. I say we listen to Bob the fallacy guy tell it.
I agree.
Okay, have you got a nicely
We have
trimmed
three
out?
ballers in Discord.
Yeah. There's a trimmed out version in the Ballbusters chat.
Ballbusters.
Yeah.
Yes, please play it.
Please. For goodness sakes.
Goodness sakes, what?
I know. Let's talk about the lifespan of swans. Goodness sakes, what? I'll tell you what right after we're done here. Go ahead and play Bob Balance.
Sure.
Okay, let me go ahead and answer that since, Nathan brought up this silly objection. What I'm going to do is say this. When I say that it is the leading edge of the sphere, that's a correct statement.
Oh, really? So you're just going to assert your fundy belief? I say it's the leading edge of the sphere, therefore that is a correct statement to make. So you're a fundy.
Are you talking over me again, Nathan?
No, I'm saying you're a fundy.
I don't even know what that is. That must be a British.
Yeah, a fundamentalist who just declares that what they believe is so. That is precisely what you have just done.
Are you going to let me finish, Nathan?
Yeah, you finished when you declared that it is the leading edge of the sphere, and that is basically that. That is what you declared, like a fundamentalist.
I'm not finished, Nathan. So what I said was that the horizon is indeed the leading edge of the sphere.
That's it. Yeah.
Is the leading edge of the sphere.
I'd just say the same thing I said in regards to Emma UK. Go and subscribe to her in case anybody thinks I'm bad mouthing her. I'm not. She trimmed out a clip from Fight the Flat Earth where he says the same thing. We're drawing a tangent line to the physical edge of a sphere, or words to that effect. It's like, while it's nice and great, yeah, it's funny, we don't need the trench level morons to affirm the tenets of their religion, which is a geometric physicality to the world we're standing on. That is just being denied by the trench idiots. So, just laugh at them and welcome them to the reality that the Earth is not a sphere, rather than saying, you used to say it was the edge of a sphere. Yeah, we know, you haven't got to go far to find this stuff. Yeah, they were definitely arguing the physicality and geometry of Earth until 2020, when the Black Swan was born. Now they don't, because they can't, therefore their argument's untenable now. But, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll still play them, because it is funny, and it is, I'm saying that to the audience, who just so that people don't grasp onto, trying to get them back onto their argument that it's the physical edge of a sphere. That's a necessity in the geometric model. When they deny it, laugh and point it out to them, rather than trying to, go back yourself and find where... No, look, they were arguing that Earth's a sphere here. Yeah, they were. They just can't anymore.
They're also arguing now that all light is refracted, so it's always refracted all the time, everywhere. But wait a minute, didn't that defeat your argument? You say that?
Yeah, so we're not dealing with geometry then, like your model asserts. Welcome to Flat Earth. Not dealing with physical geometry then. Excellent. Yeah. Sphere, geometry, useless. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks. Spurs picked up on that and was like, well, hang on a second. If you're just saying it's a bendy light line to the horizon, in other words, they're not drawing tangents anymore based on geometry. It's just made up a bendy line that's come from a tangent they haven't got. It's just class. I mean, I love this argument so much. Thank you, QE. Thank you, Black Swan. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, BLMSB69. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, the ballers are done. They're walking dead. They just don't know. Move on to another, shall we?
You're cutting out. You're chopping. Can you drop and rejoin, QE?
Jeez.
While he's doing that, every time they say boats are blocked behind the horizon, I'll say, oh, that's sinking. That's refractive. It's refraction. It's just sinking. They don't like that at all.
You're right. That's what we do. We correct them.
Yeah, you can quote them a natural atmospheric effect ad hoc like they used to do. But they no longer allowed, according to Andrew Thomas Young, to assert such effects. That's historically incorrect, by the words of Rumpus. They're supposed to be using standard refraction, otherwise known as terrestrial refraction, which utilises an R value that they're going to be drawing a tangent line to a physical edge in a geometric model. Oh, my bad. They're going to be curving that line based on a geometric edge they don't have. We don't have two horizons. We don't have a geometric one and a non-physical one that they've loomed up beyond it based on the R value of the geometric one they don't have. Oh, this is all going terribly wrong for this argument. Oh dear. Good job I'm not a globe head. Yeah, we've just got what we see in these pictures. No tangent lines being drawn to this clock. We just see it. It's just there. Flat Earth. Yeah, obviously and observably. Still got a few housekeeping questions. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
No, and still no demonstration of either.
Anthony went off with somebody about the weight of the air yesterday. That was kind of funny. Tell him about it, Anthony.
So you broke up then. I went off with somebody. What?
I was on Discord when you were talking. They were talking about the weight of the air yesterday. You can tell them what happened. I was on there when you were going around with them about it.
Did you say the weight of the air? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you were on Discord yesterday talking to somebody. They were talking about the weight of the air. I think it was Anthony. You did pretty good.
You said it. I didn't catch it because you're on a hands-free or whatever. But yeah, gas pressure without a container. So we were arguing about how do you have gas pressure without a container, and basically they came back to the old atmospheric pressure is weight of the air pushing down. Now, obviously, we know that weight is defined as mass times little g. And we know that little g is not a force, so you haven't got an action. But even if we give them little g as an action, which it isn't, but if we did, just for the sake of the discussion, they can't satisfy the definition of mass because the air doesn't have any weight. You have lots of molecules that are zipping around at high speeds, interacting and colliding with each other and the walls of the container to create the pressure. But they don't have any intermolecular bonding to create matter. They've only got the molecule, the individual helium, hydrogen, oxygen molecule, and that's it. But they want to collect it all and put it in a bag and then put the bag on the scales and then say, look, we've got weight. But that's only possible if you put it inside a container of some kind. Well, okay, that means that Earth must be a container then, because if we have atmospheric pressure and then you require mass to do that, then we must be contained. Oh, we hadn't thought about that. No, that can't be right. That can't be right. But it's true. The gas doesn't have intermolecular bonding to give it matter, to give it mass, to give it substance. You've only got the molecule, the individual molecules. So for them to argue that atmospheric weight or atmospheric pressure gives them weight pushing down, then they've got to satisfy both parts of the equation for weight. And they can't because gravity is not a force. That's one element gone. That means the whole thing falls. But they also can't satisfy mass. So they can't have atmospheric pressure. Sorry.
That was funny when Danny T realized what you were saying. He goes, "Oh, do you remember that?" He went, "Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I get it now." That was funny.
It's really hard on Discord because I can't keep track of the likes. Always seem to be a little slower to respond, so I can't ever tell who's talking unless I recognise the voice. I struggle with it. But yeah, you're right. Once they realised, they were like, "Oh, it's a killer argument. It wins every time."
So Mark Sargent recently brought this argument to the mainstream for Philip Schofield and Hollow Willoughby when he explained that if you had a vacuum chamber above your head right now and you had a cork in the bottom of it, when you pulled the cork on the vacuum chamber above you, the gas that you're breathing would rush instantaneously into the vacuum. Now, we've had similar demonstrations given by, I don't know, I think it might be you actually, Sleeping Warrior. Was it you that showed the bromine rushing into the second? And certainly Chocolate's posted it as well. But nevertheless, we've shown this demonstration in physicality, and we've also had MIT guy explaining it on the chalkboard. You know, you take a gas at pressure, put it in a container, and then you have another chamber next to it with a vacuum, and you release the barrier between them, and the gas fills the available volume. Fairly straightforward. Anyway, Mark's depicted that, like I say, with a vacuum chamber with a cork that you release, and he's explained this on national TV in front of millions of people. You know, basically debunking the sky as a vacuum. So this is now very much a mainstream argument. How can you have gas pressure without a container? You can't. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. The gas would fill the space. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we're breathing would dissipate into that space because it wants to expand in all directions. That's what pressure is. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Not a chance.
It only exists in their model.
The R value, the presupposition itself.
That's been absolutely annihilated by the Black Swan.
If bendy light, sticks and shadows don't work.
They require the assumption of R. So not really help of the R proof. First assume you're on a sphere and then decide that you're going to calculate that spherical radius with your sticks and your shadows. That requires quite a number of presuppositions.
Everything in their model requires the assumption of R. Black Swan, Modus tollens destroys the R. Therefore, everything died.
Yeah, we can't even say an R you trust anymore. They don't have an R to trust.
Yeah, that's spot on. Chocolate. I can't say in R you trust, because they can assert that you've got a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena holographic projection of a clock tower from behind the reified Earth curve edge based on an R value in a begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator. While that might seem like nonsense, it was at least a tenable position to hold, so long as you trust in R. Not anymore.
I mean, distance to the sun is done too because of refraction at the horizon as well. So the distance is done as well.
Radio check.
Hey QE, welcome back.
Copy that.
Copy that, huh? We done with housekeeping yet?
Yeah, just. Only 50 minutes into the show, but yes.
Really? Play that in Master B's, please.
Okay. What is it?
Today has just been a nonsense day, and I'm pissed about it. Stupid channels out there, QE. Oh, I'm gonna toe tag Bob. Oh, that's intelligent. This is the dumbest video I've ever seen. This is the kind of stuff that people put out. It's like in today's world, it's all about getting views. What do? I do a show called Thursday Live, doubleheader. If you want to watch, watch. If you don't, don't. QE, you want to toe tag me? Toe tag me. See if I give a F. I don't. I think it's the dumbest shit ever. Most of what you say is, oh, you crown muncher. He's crayon munching window licker. QE. Toe tag me. Do it. See if I care. I don't. See how many views you get. 200? Don't care. It's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of bullshit. That's all I got to say about it. It's a bunch of nonsense.
Okay. My advice is let's
Who's
keep
that?
this stuff out of the live ballbuster shows, and then everything will be alright.
We're not
Pussy
in
boy,
ball.
Jaren. I don't care about your subs. Don't care about that toe tag you. You've done that years ago, Mr. Science says. Don't care about that. Barking up the wrong tree, son. This is one big ass tree. So, we want to talk about the lifespan of Swans some more? Or Xanic with gravity?
Yeah, I'll talk about
40
Xanax.
years.
What do you want to know, John?
I
Hold
thought
on.
so.
I'll defend Jaren.
Go on.
He said the video is bullshit.
Yeah, that was a great assessment. I love your attention to detail. Could you entertain us with just one point of my video that was dumb? Please, Jaren, pussy boy.
No need. No need.
Dude, it's
You've-
just being
Hold
triggered,
on.
okay?
You're
What
toe
happened?
tagging a Coke. I'm trying to put myself in the position of Jaren. He hasn't given any context to it, so he's not attacked any of your points. But he said the video, which is a generalization about what it is and what it represents, which is toe tagging Bob, a colleague of his, is bullshit. And why wouldn't you assert that if you're going to defend somebody that's a co-worker?
Well, you'd do so with cowbell and not generalize, get within 3 degrees of complete ambiguity. A little color commentary, Jaren.
Okay.
Anytime, anywhere, son. Any platform,
need.
any venue.
No,
This
stop.
time.
Stop.
You
Everyone
is
stop.
technical.
No. I'm not going to let this turn into a war with Jaren. No way. Right. You're saying he needs a bit more context. Fine. Hopefully he'll give it you. No need for anything else.
Say again?
Hopefully he'll give you context. If that's what you're asking for, I see this as him defending somebody in the same way I would defend you.
He didn't defend me. He's got to have something behind it. Instead of dumb and stupid, science says, he's got to have some cowbell.
Okay, I'll draw a conclusion for you then. If you don't want to draw a conclusion at this stage, I'll say Jaren had no cowbell for his assertion that the video, if you're going to take the word the video, being bullshit, he's got no cowbell. I'll agree with you. But I would take that statement as to be the context of the video was to toe tag his colleague. That's bullshit. And I can understand him expressing that given that he's got a co-worker that he wants to defend. So I will defend Jaren in this instance. He works closely with Bob. Does it mean he always agrees with Bob? No, he often disclaims that he doesn't. But I just see this as a defense of his co-worker. Like I've defended you.
Yeah, I don't care about his subs either. This isn't about subs, Jaren. Made a big mistake, son. I'm going to tell you that now.
But he didn't give any cowbell. He hasn't said you're wrong in your assertions about science. Bob was right. He hasn't said any of that.
Exactly. This was all personal, man.
Oh no. He just called it dumb and stupid and made fun of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
because
problem.
I'm pissed off.
He sees an
Why we
attack on Bob. Let's just give context. I know for a fact that was just part of your schedule. It was scheduled to come out at that particular time. It has come out. So it's going to stir the pot. You were even alerted us to it beforehand. This might cause trouble. No timing intentional. It's just part of my upload schedule. That's just the way it is, right? Well, it has. It's stirred the pot. It's an old video that's on an upload schedule and is going to stir the pot. So as far as he's concerned, the context of the video has already been dealt with. And therefore, the timing of uploading a Bob toe tag, forget about what the context of the video, is bullshit. Now, I can understand that. I don't agree with it because there is context to the video. I felt at the time that Bob was hindering us pointing out that their use of the word science when they claim science proves you're on a sphere is wrong because they only have pseudoscience assertions. On the other hand, he hasn't directly attacked any of that. He's deliberately, I assume, kept it vague.
Well, let's get specific. Go ahead and bring him on here.
Yeah, that's what I tried
Let's
to
get
do
some
earlier.
cowbell behind his claims. Let's go through each comment, ones that Bob made and the rebuttals that I had. Let's show me how it's dumb and stupid, and bring your subs with you.
I'll say again, he hasn't said that. He's intentionally kept it vague. Perhaps his context of bullshit is the fact that there is an internal war in this regard, especially as it's already been dealt with. I'm completely assuming this of Jaren, but I would contextualize the words "this video," when the video's literally titled Bob's Toe Tag, is bullshit. Now, nobody wants an internal war at the moment. Doesn't mean that the point isn't worthy of being made. It is worthy of being made, and it's not Jaren's fault that Bob dug himself a little hole by saying all that bullshit when he's talking about independent and dependent variables, a very key part of our argument at the time that video was produced. Now, it's been released, and that's obviously going to stir the pot. It's going to piss Jaren off, it's going to piss Bob off. Doesn't change the context of the video, which I wholeheartedly agree with, and it doesn't change the fact that it's going to stir the pot and cause somebody like Jaren to want to defend his co-worker. However, the full stop on it, now that you've said that, rather than just saying, let's draw a close here, is to say, if there is more context to be added by Jaren, I'm sure he'll give it you. Or, if his context is, no, the idea of toe-tacking Bob, again, when it's already been done, is bullshit, let's not stir the pot, then he won't respond, and that'll be the end of this.
Okay, let's see if he contexts it. I want to hear it.
Frustration.
This is not Jaren's problem. He's defended his co-worker.
It is now. But could you play that one more time, please?
No, we've heard it.
Thanks.
Look, I'm going to defend Jaren in this. I understand his motivation, or I assume his motivation and choose to justify it.
Revolution is a good thing every now and again. It's time.
Look, if there's an argument to be had in regards to the actual presentation and independent and dependent variables not being, as claimed by Bob, all that bullshit, whilst also being simultaneously fine and dandy, a contradiction, then let's discuss it and rehash it. If there's nothing to discuss, and ultimately speaking, on a personal level, it would piss me off if Bob was toe-tagging Quantum Eraser, and I'd say, this is bullshit. There you go, I'll take ownership of this rather than it being on Jaren. I would contextualise it the same and say, you know, bloody toe-tagging QE is just bullshit, man. And that would be wishy-washy enough for me to not have to justify any of the contextualisation if it was all a personal ad hom about attitudes and presentations and tone of voice, something that I couldn't defend for the sake of argument if it was contextualised well enough to demean QE's personal presentation style for the sake of argument. I'd just say, this is bullshit. Now the person could respond and say, oh yeah, well you justify why when he's saying you crayon munchers, blah blah blah, that's justifiable. You know, we could get into that argument. I'd rather just move on and forget about it and say this is bullshit. As Jaren has done, coincidentally.
Yeah, with a lack of substance. Let's get some substance in here, so I'll give him his fair hearing. I want to hear him go through the points and point out which ones are dumb and stupid. Snowflake boy.
No need.
So come on here. Let's
stop
hear
it. Please, I beg of you. Right, Jaren is one of the best people in this community, and I know, because I've been there, that he's got a fine balancing tightrope that he's trying to adhere to in terms of keeping everybody around him happy. And that's a really difficult task, because he's surrounded by assholes like me, you, and Bob. So he's got a difficult job on his hands. And this is upsetting for me. I don't want this. I'll keep the live show going a little bit longer so we can get some reactions from the commenters in the Discord server or panel. Then I'll round out the live show and tell everyone to stay tuned if they're watching on Nathan Oakley channel.
I'll give a comment.
Is there going to be 2 shows today?
There will be 2 shows. Subscribe today to Nathan Oakley channel, link in the
Okay.
info box below.
Nathan, did you just
Real
admit
quick,
that you were?
10th man, if I could just have 3 words. Check your
Yeah,
fire.
yeah.
Check your fire. Over.
I'll give a comment. That
Nathan, did you just admit that you were?
Anthony, I'm trying to give a comment. Thank you. I saw QE's show. I was there when you called Bob on his Globe Busters and tried to talk about the scientific method. QE's show correctly quoted Bob, and QE stuck to objective facts and objective reasoning. You're right, Nathan, in the sense that Jaron's got to do what he did, but Jaron only brought subjective reasoning and no objective facts. He did not, in any way, shape, or form, debunk or correct QE's last show when he quoted Bob and made his points. So Jaron just brought his friendship with Bob and defended it subjectively with no facts. That's the way I see it.
Can I ask my question now? Although I think
Go
the more.
for it.
I just wondered if Nathan just admitted that he was an asshole. Did I hear myself right then?
Yes, you can happily have that admission. It doesn't matter. My arguments aren't based on my presentation style, demeanour, or persona. None of those are relevant to my arguments. So yeah, you can call me a dick. I am. I don't care. It doesn't change my arguments. In this instance, the contextualisation of this dispute, which is resulting in good people being demeaned with ad hominem, me included, from Bob. Let's not beat around the bush about what has gone on. Well, I want that to end. Now, if there is, on the other hand, an argument like the one I actually went on Globebusters with, in regards to the invalidity or the invalid nature of the scientific method, then I want to hear it. Beyond that, I don't care. Does it change the fact that I have, and will continue to, defend QE if some arsehole suddenly critiques precisely what I've said is not relevant? His persona. Yeah, I'd undoubtedly defend him, because it's not relevant to the argument, and therefore I'd probably make that point whilst defending some asshole who's merely critiquing him on his presentation style. Now, I can understand and empathise with Jaron when he wants to defend Bob. Why wouldn't he? And yeah, he's not going to attack any points QE, you know they're watertight. Is there any more on this? I'm keeping the live show lingering just to get any points on this, because this is something that I want to verbalise it and then forget about it. So if there's any more, I don't want it added to the after show. Get it out now.
I'd say shout out to 321 people watching.
Shout out to Sharon. A lot of us wouldn't be here if credit where credit's due. A lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Jaron. And I'll reiterate that he's on a tightrope with a lot of people around him that are awkward people. And now that needs nothing but credit. And occasionally you have to grease the wheels with some of them that need a little bit more grease, and defend people that might want defending because they're a little bit more snowflakey and will get a little bit more fussed if you don't. Now, that's a hard tightrope to negotiate. Now, if I'm in a position where I can say to somebody that's applying a little bit more pressure or shaking that rope a little bit, just give the guy a break, then I'll do it. He's earned it. Jaron, that is. Just like QE has. He's
I'd like to add something.
Just let me finish that sentence. He's earned it in the same way QE has. I'm going to defend him. Now, that's awkward for me. It's upsetting for me to have to defend him to QE. Both defence-worthy. Awkward position for me, but I'm going to express it. That's why I've kept the live show going. If I'm sat here with my arms folded, very uncomfortable. I'm not going to put myself on camera, but I am extremely uncomfortable with this situation, but it still needs talking about, uncomfortable though it might be.
Right. I was just going to say that this all began with Globebusters not acknowledging the black swan observation as being a black swan, and them calling it a white swan. It
started way before that.
Yeah, I know it started way before that with the whole scientific method thing, but I'm just talking about this in particular. And I think the issue here is that perhaps Jaron and Bob don't fully understand the black swan observation. And maybe if they did, they probably wouldn't downplay it like they are.
Okay, that's probably a side issue to this. So I'm just going to read out Brandon Toy's super chat. bit of a mouthful. Thank you very much for the super chat, Brandon Toy. Why do we need to attack each other? It's not constructive and forces people to choose sides. They each have things to offer. I assume each being Quantum Eraser, Jaren, me, Bob, everybody else who's talking on this subject, but I'll just take that out of context. Anyway, I'll continue. They each have things to offer, and the conflict doesn't improve our position. Mass delusion of the globe. Right, exactly. Try and stay on focus with the actual arguments that we're making and how they demolish the assertion that we live on a physical sphere with edges for boats to go over. That would be far more constructive. Nevertheless, sometimes there are worthy battles when it comes to people demeaning the idea that actual science is based on empiricism, cause and effect reasoning, and so on and so forth. You've got to kind of address that, otherwise people will just assume that you're talking nonsense when you demean their scientific assertions about us being on a sphere. So with that, I'll say if you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Shout outs to Quantum Eraser channel, Jeranism channel, and Globebusters channel. Subscribe to all of them today. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!